Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Uncorked with Funny Wine Girl. This is Funny Wine Girl, aka Janine Luby, and it is December. And I don't know if you've listened or not. If not, that's cool. I'm happy to have you now and hope to have you back again. In December, I'm doing December Discourse because I'm a big fan of alliteration. And I want to kind of work on the year ahead 2023. I've already started doing some interviews, so although I hate saying interviews, I like to call them conversations. I like people to open up and uncork with me, hence the Uncorked with Funny Wine Girl. So I've already started getting some episodes for 2023, and I'm really excited to share them with you. But for December, I wanted to just kind of keep it real casual around topics related to the holidays. And if you've listened before, you've heard me talk about worst and best gifts. I will be talking about regifting in an episode and traditions and different things that people do, different cultural traditions and different family traditions. But this week, this episode in particular, I have my dear friend who has been on the podcast so much. I should put him in the credits, although I don't really have credits, whatever. But yeah, it's not that fancy. Anyway, Oliver, who I lovingly call Ollie, is joining me again. He spoke with me about best and worst gifts for Christmas. But this episode, this week, we're going to talk about holiday movies. And I should tell you, if you've listened before, and if you haven't, scroll on back to like the beginning of almost a year ago. Oliver had a whole episode in which we spoke about movies, all kinds of movies, not just holiday movies. Because as I had said then, Oliver is a cinephile. He loves movies. He owns alphabetized DVDs. He's done a blog, a movie a day. Loves, loves, loves movies. And I admire that about him because I kind of get bored sometimes, but he will watch a movie to see it all the way through. And today we're just going to talk about holiday movies. So, hello, Ollie, and welcome.
Hello, Janine. Thank you for having me. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. I celebrate Christmas, so I will say Merry Christmas, but I also say happy holidays to everybody else and whatever they celebrate too.
Well, I celebrate Christmas as well, but Happy Holidays encompasses the whole Christmas, New Year's type of thing. I know saying Happy Holidays now gets a lot of panties in the bunch, if you will. For me, it encompasses that whole 10 days of just joyousness that
Yeah.
I, so Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays. Be happy.
Don't worry.
Don't worry. Road.
And don't worry, my panties weren't in a bunch over that. They get into a bunch over so many things. I don't think they ever unbunch.
Is that couth to say your panties were in a bunch? I didn't really mean to offend, but like some people get upset by the happy holidays, but I say it more as like encompassing the whole season. So
Well, yeah, no, I got you. And of course, I'm just busting about the bunch, but my panties are always in a bunch because, as I said, I'm getting crankier and crankier, honestly. No, it's all good. No, and believe me, I'm not one of those folks, but for me, I just like to say, like, when people get into the whole, it's a holiday tree. I'm like, no, it's a Christmas tree for me. Anyway, I mean, you can have a holiday tree, you can have a Festivus pole if you want, but I have a Christmas tree. I was raised celebrating Christmas. It's what I celebrate. So I do that, but I do like to say happy holidays as well, because you're right. It covers kind of the whole gamut of things. So, but we're not focusing on that tonight. No. We are focusing on, and I should say, this is this week's episode, but we actually record it. Psst, I'll give you a little insider's info, a little tea I'm going to spill. We already recorded another episode tonight that's going to air a different week, that probably already aired, actually, about best and worst gifts of Christmas, but we're doing them both in one evening. And I'm finishing my drink. I'm the funny wine girl, but the funny wine girl does stray because I'm so naughty. I like to stray to beer, martinis, you name it. I just stray. So tonight I'm having my what the hell? Help me out, Oliver. Van Gogh peanut butter and jelly vodka with a scoop of chocolate ice cream. And it's good. And the ice cream is melting, so it's quite delish. And this lovely festive glass that I kind of just did a little pointillism here. And it's just fun. It's just fun and festive. And Oliver's drinking, I believe he's drinking eggnog, right?
I am. Eggnog and water.
So does that eggnog just have eggnog in it, or has it got like, some whiskey or
There's a little splash of rum in it.
oh, splash of rum?
Yeah,
Okay.
usually I'll do like an eggnog martini, which would have amaretto, vanilla vodka, and eggnog. But shut the front door.
I'm sorry, but I love vanilla vodka. That sounds good. We're gonna have to
Yeah,
talk after so you can remind me what to do.
do a little brown sugar rim with like it's three ounces of eggnog, or like 1 ounce of amaretto and like 2 of vanilla vodka, whatever. I don't know if those are accurate. Shake it up because shaking is better than stirred in this instance because of the eggnog. It's thick. It's delicious. But no, tonight is just a little splash of rum with eggnog because I have some eggnog that I purchased and I saw the date on it. It was like I only have one more day to finish. And I'm like, I better have some eggnog. So that explains the drink tonight.
That's great. And I will tell you, by the way, I think it's cute that you're giving me ounces because I just pour.
Oh.
Like, oh, you're so sweet, thinking I'm gonna actually measure this shit. I
baking,
go, oh, that needs more.
baking and cocktail are very precise with measurements because it makes
Eh.
and but with alcohol though, you drink to taste. Like if you like a stronger alcohol, like a drink, then you're going to add a little bit more of the spirit than you will something else. But so yeah, take with it. So those are the ingredients. Throw as much as you want in it. Shake it up and have a good night.
No, I hear what you're saying though about the precision, and I think we've talked about this before. I know I've talked about this with other friends. I'm more and I'm not saying you're not creative. I'm like a creative chaos kind of person. So I like to cook more than I like to bake because I know with baking, you can really screw shit up if you're not like the right temperature, the right this, the right that, the right altitude. That can, the yeast won't rise, the cake won't rise, what all that stuff. I'm not into that. That's too high maintenance for me. Like I like something where it's like, a little shake of this, a little bit of that. I don't know. I'm not trying to culturally appropriate Italians there when I'm like, oh, a little bit of this, but that's how I cook. And so I don't want precision. That's not my wheelhouse, as they say.
My husband, who's Italian, is going to be running in here saying, "Who's talking?" Mario and Luigi.
I was gonna say, we're not a Mario and a Luigi. What is this? Okay, so my apologies to all the Italians out there, really. And Jim, I think no, Jim doesn't sound like that, quite frankly, at all. So I apologize to all the Italians that I've offended. Mea culpa. So we're gonna talk holiday movies. And I have to say, I wanted this as a topic because I think people, movies are a big deal. And I will say not just the movies themselves, like what we have as our favorites, but I had a thought, of course, I'm going to go off because you know me, I have a thought and then it's like derail. But I will say back in the day, like my mother's day, she talked about it was a big deal, like to go on dates to see movies around the holidays. Like that was a really like they would go. I don't know, I think she said Thanksgiving, but I think she actually said Christmas as well when she was dating my dad. Like it was a big deal to go to the movies. So there's a tradition and like releases of movies around the holidays and whether it's a date or whether it's taking the family, it's kind of a big deal to go to the movies. But I will say, and I know, you're a big movie guy. For me, I mean, I like movies and I have favorite movies, but there's nothing for me during the holidays that I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to see it. Although I will tell you, Sunday, I did watch not the whole movie, but most of it, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. That is still one of my favorites, but really now because of my favorite parts of it. So if I don't see the whole thing, I'm fine with not seeing the whole thing. And knowing me, which part do you think is my favorite because of certain things that I like and don't like in my life?
I can't imagine you not liking Grace. Say the blessing, the old lady where she
Blessing.
blessing. Like that character, I forget her name. What was her name?
Jesus.
Bruce.
Aunt Bethany.
Aunt Beth.
Yeah.
But she said, "Oh, Grace died years ago." Like I can't you not liking that. But there's some Beverly D'Angelo is such the perfect straight man to Chevy Chase's crazy that I can imagine you liking her as well. So
Well, and what I was going to say, I agree with both of that, but I was going to mention the squirrel because
oh
my hatred and my journey with squirrels. So that is absolutely my absolute favorite part.
yeah.
Squirrel, Mom, don't move. And she's like laying on the floor. And of course, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, because Seinfeld is like my all-time favorite show. So her being in it, like those are like my favorite scenes. Of course, how could you not like cousin Eddie, right? I mean, or
Yeah,
that whole,
crazy.
grossness. Yeah, but the whole squirrel bit, for those of you who may not know, I've had a very interesting, intense relationship with squirrels my whole life. I've hated them for the longest time. Walking around Lake Scranton, people feed them, which is a no-no. But so they assume, you're a person, feed me, and they scare me. I was afraid of them. I went to Penn State. When I got to main campus, people fed them. That's a no-no. So I'd try to sit on a bench in between classes, and they'd be like, oh, we're coming for you, and they would scare me, and I would get up and move. So anyway, the culmination, and of course I'm going to make this story about squirrels. The culmination of this, I got into watching birds, thanks to my friend Karen Ushak, who turned me on to that. And I love it. It's peaceful. It got bird feeders. Well, when on my squirrel proof, there's nothing squirrel proof. I had this feeder and they would still get on it and eat. I banged on the window to get them off it. And one summer in July, probably 8 years ago, I don't know, 9 years ago, maybe more, I banged on the glass and it shattered. And I was like, oh shit. So then I'm picking up the glass and I look out and there it is, swinging on the feeder, giving me the little middle finger. He's like doing acrobat routines like Cirque du Soleil, like, hey, buddy, I'm eating your food. So anyway, after that, I had to come to terms that I can't bang on glass anymore because I shatter. So I kind of got more namaste about it, but I still chase them from my bird feeder. I say I'm like a bouncer at a strip club, tails and nuts. It's like I go out there and I literally put Vaseline on the pole. And for those real bird watchers out there who might be listening, please get off my back. Don't freak out because I was in a bird group on Facebook. They were like, don't grease it up. It'll get on the feathers of the birds and they can't fly. Simmer down, because they do not land where I put the Vaseline. Trust me, they don't. I watch it very carefully. But there was nothing more satisfying this summer than watching a squirrel get up on the pole and go whoop and slide right down. So I'm sorry. I just hijacked everything with my story with squirrels. I still chase them. And for other people listening who I know that, I don't know, I'm like, you like how I'm splintering the whole audience, and for you, because through the years I've had friends say, but Janine, now squirrels are, part of nature and God's creatures too. And I'm like, F off. Squirrels are bullies and they're reliant. They really are. I've watched them, and believe me, I know their patterns. I watch them. They will find food. That's my point. So I don't want them on the bird feeder because that is for the birds. They will dig in the garbage. They will dig in your yard. They will dig in a gravesite. They will dig anywhere to get food. They manage just fine. So I apologize. Whew, give me a moment. Whew. Okay. So anyway, this is about movies, and that's a really poignant moment when they go squirrel. So go ahead. Sorry.
As soon as you said squirrel, I should have known that was the moment you were talking about in the movie, and which is so funny because the other day it was on. I think you said you watched part of it, not all of it. Same here. The part with the squirrel, my husband, who likes to talk out loud to movies, said, who would be afraid of a squirrel? Just catch it and throw it out the door. Like he was so mad that they were all like screaming and running around the squirrel. So we had that whole discussion. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't know how evil they are. So. So now when we talk, and when you think, I should say, let me rephrase, when you think holiday movies, Christmas movies, holiday movies, whatever, what comes to your mind? Whether it's positive or negative or just over popular or whatever.
Gotcha. Like, first of all, I want to say your mom's point about going to the movies over the holiday season, like Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's, Thanksgiving was always a day for us to go to the movies, like teenage and a college age. Christmas Day, I got in a habit of, like, after I would drop Lucas off at his mom's, I would go to like a movie. I saw a lot of different movies. And that time of year is also my favorite time because a lot of Oscar movies are released within this last month and a half of So going to the theater and the movies is very special during the holiday time as well. Holiday movies, totally different because those movies aren't necessarily holiday themed.
Right.
I grew up watching a lot of the classic movies with my family around me. So I always think of holiday movies as joyous, come together, be with your family, have fun, just enjoy each other and the movie. So like classics like Miracle on 34th Street, the black and white version, although the newer version that was done, I think in the 80s, 90s was just as good, but different. The Christmas Carol, like Scrooge story, any version of it with George C. Scott, whatever, all those we loved. I loved all of those stop motion animations, the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, watching as a kid, even like, and Rudolph's Shiny New Year and Rudolph and Frosty's Christmas in July. Like they had so many of them. They even had one, The Little Drummer Boy, like those stop animation ones, which by the way, off topic, favorite Christmas song of all time, Little Drummer Boy. Loved it. Although, and Jars of Clay, go listen to their version of it. It's the best version ever.
Really?
There you go. However, singing in church, "O Come All Ye Faithful," used to be my favorite because I thought as a kid, they were, before I could read, they were singing "O Come Ollie Faithful." I thought it was about a little boy named
All about you.
And I was like, hey, finally it's a kid with my name. So even though you know how
cute. Now when we sing, well, I've become a cafeteria Catholic. I really only go once in a while, but now if they do sing that, I'm going to be singing, "Oh, come Ollie Faithful."
so that was my fun. Anyway, so like all those stop animation shows, Frosty's wasn't stop animation, that was just animation. But so that's what I think of. The Grinch, like all those fun family can get together around the TV and watch them. Now, as I got older, of course, my tastes got a little bit weirder and darker. And although I still like my favorite holiday movies, some might not even consider holiday movies, but I do. And I know there's that whole debate on whether some movies, like Die Hard's not one of them.
I was just going to say, that's the big one, right? The debate. And I'm someone who, like, I saw the movie, it was enjoyable. I don't give a shit what it's categorized as, and I don't think of it as anything. So yeah.
Right. A lot of people will say that stuff. So, but I really liked that idea. And one memory that I always have about Christmas and movies, if you followed my blog that I did in 2020, I did a movie a day takes the doctor away blog. I did 365-day challenge where I watched a movie every day, wrote about it. We had HBO growing up, and I would always get the HBO guide. If you ever knew what the HBO guide was, I would look through it and I would see when the movies were going to be playing because they were all like on a schedule. And sometimes early HBO days, they went off the air after a certain time, but then it became 24 hours. But I would look at the guide and I would circle the movies I would want to see. And this one particular Christmas, I don't remember the year, probably 1981-ish, knowing the movie that I'm going to talk about. It just, on Christmas Eve, it would say HBO's Christmas gift, like special presentation. Like, so they were going to show something that was there. And so I was like, what is this? What's going on? So Christmas Eve, we always spent at my mom's parents, my grandparents, which lived a block away. And we were always there for Christmas. And we would always go to midnight mass. So we would be like, after dinner, we'd give them all their gifts and they would unwrap and we would get the gifts from the grandparents and have fun. And we usually just sit and watch TV, whatever. But that was the night that this HBO Christmas gift was on. And the movie that they showed was Annie. Now, Annie is not by any means a holiday movie. I don't even think there's like a Christmas tree in it. Maybe there is, I can't remember. But because the whole family sat around and watched Annie, which was a movie I wanted to see as a young kid. And so that was B2-ish. So for some reason that clicks in as a holiday movie for me. So every time I think holiday movies, even though it's not, that gets clumped in with my visuals that I watch throughout the holiday season is Annie. Because of that experience in HBO, and we all, grandparents, like my grandmother, grandfather, and my other grandfather, my dad's dad, because his mom had passed away, my mom, my dad, my sister, me, and then all it was a connecting house. So my aunt, my uncle, and all the cousins. So watching the movie was with like all of those people. So it was just the memory of that movie, not necessarily a holiday movie. So that's a good memory, at least for the
Oh
Christmas.
yeah. Who was in that version, by the way, of Annie? I'm just curious. Do you remember?
Um, was oh god, Carol Burnett played Mrs. Hannigan. Uh, Bernadette Peters played the one character. I forget her name. She was the bad one with the guy who was in Rocky Horror Picture Show. Tim Curry was the bad rooster. Was it Albert Finney who played Daddy Warbucks? Aileen Quinn played Annie. The wonderful dancer choreographer who Ryan King, she passed away a few years ago, but she was in the revival of Broadway. She won the Tony.
Oh, okay.
But she was in it as well. She's the one that say, "We got Annie." So it's just again, nothing to do with Christmas, I don't think, but because they premiered it on HBO as a surprise, we all watched it and it was just fun. It's just a fun memory. And I think that has a lot to do with, like, holiday movies are fun. And again, as I got older, and I, of course, on my blog, I think there were like 7 movies that were actually holiday themed, or I think are holiday themed, that made my top 365 movies of all time. So I do have a lot of liking of those movies as well. One that's not on there, A Christmas Story, and I know they play it over and over and over again on that one TBS, I think, on Christmas Day. But again, nostalgic. I remember watching it with my dad and him just laughing because he's like, that's how it was when I was a young kid. That's how Christmases were. And they recently did the reboot. Well, no, I guess it's just a sequel. It's on HBO Max, A Christmas Story Christmas.
I saw that advertised. I didn't know what the deal was with that. Yeah.
So, and that takes place in the 70s because it's 30 years later. And the story is that he goes back to his hometown, without spoilers. He goes back to his home and kind of tries to put on a Christmas for his kids. But it was so relatable because, no, is it an Oscar-winning movie? No. But it was sweet. It was fun. And because it was now happening in the 70s-ish time when we were kids growing up, a lot of relatable stuff happens. I think that you would enjoy at least saying, I remember that.
I would probably enjoy that more. And I'm going to I don't know if I'm going to be canceled for saying this or what, but I can't tell you that I've actually seen A Christmas Story all the way through. And quite frankly, it's funny to me. And I don't know, because I really don't know when that movie was released. When was that released originally?
Oh,
do you
goodness.
know?
80s.
80s. Okay. Because I don't recall seeing it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there are movies that I remember. Oops, I'm knocking things around here. That vodka really, woo. There are movies I remember, obviously things like Jaws. I remember like The Legend of Billie Jean. I think we were late 80s, like seeing that in high school. Isn't that it? Legend of Billie Jean? Yeah, with Helen Slater. Like, so there are certain movies I remember. The Karate Kid. I don't remember as a kid, like in high school or late teen, preteen, or whatever the hell. I don't remember A Christmas Story from back then. I only know now A Christmas Story the past, I don't know what, 15, 20 years of being on 24/7, or at least 24 hours, excuse me, around the holidays on TBS. And I'll be honest, of course, you'll shoot your eye out. Like, I remember, I know the phrases and Ralphie and his little pig suit or whatever, because how could you not see parts of it when it's on 24 hours? And I would turn it on, but I truly can't tell you that I've watched it from beginning to end, nor, and again, don't cancel me, nor do I have a desire to. Like, I don't care about that movie. I think it's funny. Parts that I've seen are humorous, and the whole like leg lamp and stuff, that is humorous to me. But I don't recall it being a big deal when it was out. I don't recall even knowing that it was out back in the day. And I just know it now to be on TBS, and I don't really care about it. So I don't know what that says, but that's there. I've revealed that anyway.
That's totally fine. You're not canceled at all. Everyone has an opinion about a movie. It's fine. You probably didn't remember because I don't believe it was a big box office hit. I don't think it got popular until it came to cable, VCR recordings, remember VHS tapes? And then it's become such a cult classic now. I remember watching with my dad on HBO, again, HBO, thank you. One of my babysitters as a child. and like just having him laugh and saying he related to like just saying talking while it was happening, like, oh, my brother and I did this, or oh, that happened all the time. So that's kind of like my enjoyment of it. And now, and by the way, he was in a bunny outfit.
Oh, what did I say? A pig outfit?
Little brother eat like mommy's little piggy, where he eats the mashed potatoes. So you're there, but no, you're not canceled.
And I say that, I say that mockingly because I think that's bullshit, that we're not allowed to. And believe me, this goes back to our earlier conversation before I hit the record button about, I want to be careful how I say this because I don't want to offend exactly how I think what is out there that is consumed is crap, and people think they have to because of, and I don't, believe me, I'm not blaming social media, because I like to say people are responsible for what they say and do on social media. You can't blame the device or the platform, whatever, but their algorithms are such that certain crap keeps being put out there. The more people see it and share it, the more people see it and share it. And that I worry that people aren't being stretching their imagination or exploring. It's just like, oh, and again, this voice isn't anybody in particular, but oh, everyone likes this movie, I gotta like this movie. Oh, here's a restaurant we all love, and I see a lot of that, and I'm just like, ugh, dear God. So anyway, that's, I'm saying, I'm being sarcastic, but
no, that's absolutely fine. Again, it's all about the experience. Like I don't think I would have loved the movie so much if I had seen it and it was just kind of like, oh, okay. But now it's become like that, and National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation probably get played the most around the holidays.
Yeah.
And that one's that's in my top 365 movies of all time, the Christmas Vacation. It, again, I don't think I saw it or was aware of it when it came out in the holidays. I think that was probably like 88, 89.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't know.
Again, that was like, we watched it. Again, we liked the vacation movies. We liked Chevy Chase, I guess, as a family. But it wasn't until later, like when it was released through rental, when we went to our Blockbuster and would get, and again, just watching it with family members and just laughing at the ridiculousness of family coming together, and while watching it with your family doing similar things that they're doing in the movie, just makes it more fun. And then you can just relate to it. And that is a movie that my son and I agree on very little when it comes to like pop culture and art. That is one movie where that and Mrs. Doubtfire, which is not a holiday.
I love that movie.
He loves that movie. He's melting like a snow cone in Phoenix.
Melting like a snow cone in Phoenix.
But Christmas Vacation is another one. Like he really loves that movie. He laughs like the 9 millionth time he saw it, he's still laughing as hard as he was the first time. So, and again, that makes me enjoy it more.
Yeah. I mean, there are some really, obviously it's pop culture, like the references, but like, what is it? If I woke up tomorrow with my head sewn to the carpet, I wouldn't be more like, some of those lines are just freaking hilarious. Yeah.
And Beverly D'Angelo, who was so good. Like, I don't know if you remember the scene where the SWAT team comes in because he's kidnapped his boss.
And she's holding
his hands on his crotch, and she says, "Oh, it's so nice to meet you." She shakes his hand and puts his hand right back. Like, it's small things like that that are just so stupid, but always make me laugh. And how much fun the actors must have had doing stuff like that. Like, it's just
yeah. Well, and to that point, not to get geeky, but like as far as humor and comedy and the details like that are just delicious. Like the ones that I don't want to get like all elitist, but like people kind of see or pay more attention to the broader stuff, right? But it's like those tiny details where you're like, wow, that was a interesting choice, and who knows if she was directed to do that or not, whatever. But like those little details are just lovely, and like really funny to laugh at. One thing I will say about that movie, and I do enjoy it, but I have to say I enjoy it a little less after hearing stories through the years about Chevy Chase being a bit of an asshole. So I don't know if maybe he just got that way later on Community, because they did say he was a bit of a diva. Who knows? But it does kind of like, I do think about it when I watch it now, because I like to and I know there are assholes in Hollywood, and then there are nice people, but you do hear about different shows where people are like, oh my God, we had the best cast and everyone really got along. And so when I think of him, sometimes if he was a diva or an asshole, it kind of takes a little bit away from it for me, but
Yeah. My thought on that is, and I've heard those things as well, that he's difficult to work with or can be a diva. You can also look at the guy who played Cousin Eddie, who is a complete nut
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
better word. I look at, and I'll use something not Christmas related, but like when I watch a movie one of my favorite movies of all time is American Beauty. Kevin Spacey's in it. And when I say the name, I cringe. But you know what? I kind of look at a movie like, at that time, this is what it meant to me. This is what, and I just kind of, they're not them. They're playing character.
Right.
You know what? Whatever they were off, I don't care. This role that Eddie played, not Dennis Quaid, he's
Randy Quaid. Yeah.
Thank you. Sometimes my memory is whoosh. Like I'm not watching him. I'm watching Cousin Eddie. So I just and same like when I did just recently watch a Kevin Spacey movie. I forget which one. And I just, you know what? I'm not watching the actor. I'm watching the character. That's the only way I could, just forget about it and relax. So.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said that, because again, it's not like I don't enjoy that, but like it's in my head but I'm glad you said that because, and again, to go back to, and I don't know if I said this in this episode or no, I just said it recently about a couple minutes ago about being canceled. It is a very interesting and probably would be a hot topic to be debated. But you mentioned Kevin Spacey. House of Cards on Netflix was an amazing show. And so I do, and I don't want us to get off too far off topic, but I like what you said, because it's like, there are probably people out there that are like, oh, that's it. No more. I won't watch any of his show, but right. To me, what I have trouble with, and this is happening in a lot of different realms, right? Or different parts of life, you can't have once enjoyed it and now you're like, no, I didn't enjoy the performance. How the hell do you say that? Like, right? Like, I get saying this person's quality, their integrity, their ethics are shit, or they're a criminal, or whatever it is,
right?
They are, but it's kind of, well, and I say this often too, that we're all hypocritical, because I do believe that, myself included. You can't say that you enjoyed the movie and all of a sudden you're like, no, I don't like it. I'm going to burn it. Like you can't, But so to your point, like American Beauty was an incredible movie. House of Cards was fan freaking tastic. And he was a very good actor. He is. I mean, I don't know what he's doing now besides whatever, appearing in court. But I mean, he was a very good actor. And I like to think of so. And I don't mean to, but like, I appreciate you saying that, because I feel that way too. And I think to myself, again, it kind of goes to what we have access to, people talking all the time and sharing their thoughts, because I often think of, I shouldn't say often, but I relate it to things that are way back in time. Like my favorite artist, Van Gogh. I do sometimes wonder, now imagine him in the time of social media, right? He was an incredible painter, beautiful painter, right? He sold one piece of art while he was alive. If it wasn't for his brother Teo, he wouldn't have paid the bills, but he fraternized with prostitutes. Everyone thought he ate paints. He had oral hallucinations. Everyone talks about, him cutting off a piece of his ear. That is often misconstrued that it wasn't for love. He was actually fighting or chasing his friend Gauguin. It was probably hallucination. He cut a piece of his ear off, then brought it to a brothel. But that kind of today, would we be like, we probably would have canceled him. You know what I mean? We probably would have. And I mean, I don't know what my point in all of this is. I don't mean to be just blabbing, but to your point, it's just appreciate the art, I guess, that's happening, and they're actors, and that is their craft. So yeah. And I'll just leave that there.
Yeah. Your point was simply like the craft they did, because how can I say I love my movie, it's my favorite movie? I can't help it what he did afterwards. Now I may say, okay, well, going forward, I might not support his newer projects if he's doing anything, but I can't erase what that, people say that a lot about Michael Jackson, and we're going back to Christmas music after this, I swear to God. But listen to Michael Jackson, he was the soundtrack of my life, him, Madonna, Prince, George Michael. I can't erase that just because what he allegedly did or didn't do. I'm not that moral judgment. His music made me dance, made me smile, and it still does. I'm sorry. enjoy the art, enjoy the memories it gives you. Don't support future things if that's what they tend to do, and let us just like what we like. So, anyways,
Yeah.
back to movies.
Yes, so back to Christmas movies. The one that I'm going to bring up that, and again, it's not. You mentioned earlier Christmas on Miracle on 34th Street. That's another one I'm partially ashamed to say because there are a lot of classic movies that I have not seen, and it's like shame on me. I have never seen that movie. I feel like it was probably on the television when I was younger, when I was a kid, and we didn't have that same love of movies or that connection as a family to watch them, so I don't recall ever really seeing it all the way through. The one that, much like Christmas Story, that's often on is It's a Wonderful Life. I don't recall watching that so much as a kid, but I do record, of course, recall it being on the past at least 20, 30 years of my life on Christmas Eve. And kind of like you mentioned, I was raised Catholic, so we would go to midnight mass a lot, not all the time, but a lot of years we did that. And then, it might be on before we went to mass, and then we'd get home and it was on again, because it was being played a lot. And I do have memories of watching that. And for me, and again, this could be offensive to some people. I know, I guess he was thought to be a great actor, right? Jimmy Stewart. But one of my kind of a funny with me and my cousin, she cracked up when Kathy, when we were driving shopping, because I used to do my impression. I'd be like, "Don't you know me, Mary?" But I know it was Clarence, but I would do my little I'm Jimmy Stewart. I do my little voice of Jimmy Stewart, but it's a heartwarming story. I will say I have seen that one all the way through. But yeah, his acting, like, I don't know, I find it comical. I have not watched him in other movies. I'm sure he is a great actor. So I mean, I imagine he is, but yeah, that's a movie that comes to mind for me that I do associate with Christmas Eve mostly. I think we've watched it.
Yeah. You hit my favorite Christmas movie of all time. It's a Wonderful Life. It was number 2 on my all-time favorite movies of all time. Number 1, it's number 2 only to The Wizard of Oz, which used to be on around the holidays as well, but it's not really a holiday movie. But It's a Wonderful Life. Jimmy Stewart was a terrific actor. Different type of acting now. Like there was that time where like acting was like almost a little bit melodramatic, and then now we're into the realistic acting. And it kind of in the middle there is kind of a melding of it. But if you watch that movie and then watch Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, and also The Philadelphia Experiment with Katharine Hepburn, 3 different roles he did, really good actor. But It's a Wonderful Life, same like you, before midnight mass, after midnight mass. That was a tradition when I used to live alone. I would watch Christmas Eve, wrap Christmas gifts and then the next day I'd pick up Lucas and he'd, come to my place to spend Christmas Day. So it's by far, It's a Wonderful Life, but it stems all from watching it with my grandfather loved watching that movie. My mom's dad, Tom. And it's, again, all about the memories. But by far I would not go through a holiday season without watching that movie. I know there's a mutual friend that we have who shall remain nameless, John Ferrero. He lives in Florida, hates that movie.
You've named names.
Have. He hates that movie. Like he tells a story of why he was on a retreat and it was like a 4-hour bus ride to get there. And then when they got there, they had to watch that movie. And he said, "Oh my God, it was the worst movie ever." Like, so there's a reason why he dislikes it. But for me, it's hands down the best holiday Christmas movie ever. Again, it's debatable. Like
Sure. Yeah.
Some of my favorite Christmas movies aren't really considered Christmas movies. Like I love The Holiday with Kate Winslet and Cameron Diaz. And it's a take on, it happens around Christmas time, but it's also meaning the holiday, like they're on vacation. I love that movie. Love Actually is,
yes.
Again, people argue that it's not a Christmas movie. It is, it happens around Christmas time and it's all about love and actually, so shut up. I like that movie. Gremlins is can't go through the holidays without watching Gremlins, because that horrible story that Phoebe Cates talks about her dad dressing up as Santa Claus, and and then they didn't know where he was missing, and then they finally, like, something was wrong with the chimney, and her dad was trying to come down the chimney and surprise her as Santa, and he died. Like, it's the most tragic story that she's telling on Christmas. And if you've ever seen the sequel, Gremlins 2: A New Batch, she starts telling a story about I can't, like, I forget what it was, like 4th of July, because on 4th of July, my father and and then he cuts her off. He's like, we don't have time. We have to do something else. So they kind of like, but it happens around Christmas. I saw that in the movie theater and I still think it's a Christmas movie. Like, I don't like, yeah, it is in my head. Something more Christmassy, Home Alone.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I really like Home Alone. Well, first of all, the actress Catherine O'Hara,
Oh,
love
she's
her.
the queen. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's so good in everything she does. But as Kevin's mom, come on, that's almost iconic.
And shout out in that movie to Scranton.
Right?
Where are we anyway? Scranton. Ah!
Even though not really Scranton's airport, it's still got the name, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's another movie that like, even the second one, is the same movie rehashed just in New York City, but it's Christmas and it's fun and it makes me smile. And another classic that my family used to watch, and again, I don't think it's holiday related, although I think there's a scene with a Christmas pageant in it, The Bells of St. Mary's.
Oh, okay. That's another one I've not seen.
I want to say Ingrid Bergman, but I could be wrong. She plays I might be wrong on the actress, but definitely I think Bing Crosby plays the priest. A Catholic school, and like, it's just, I really think there's like one scene with a Christmas pageant, but they played it a lot during the holidays. So to me, as a young kid watching with like my grandparents and my mom and dad, it was a holiday movie. Like, it was, there was a priest, there was a nun. I went to Catholic school for 12 years. So to me, it was like the family. And again, maybe not necessarily a holiday movie, but one that we watched over the holidays. And I just think of it as a holiday movie that kind of makes me feel good. So
yeah. So I have to mention, you mentioned Home Alone and Home Alone 2. Of course, that ties to my favorite show of all time, Seinfeld. Watching just recently an episode where George is at Jerry's and he's like, what are you going to do? He's like, can I watch the movie here? And he's like, why? Well, because it'll make me feel like I'm doing something if I'm not at home. And he was watching Home Alone. He had already seen Home Alone 2. And he's like, didn't you see 2? He's like, yeah, but you didn't need to see the first one to understand the second one. And then they come home and of course George is crying and Jerry's like, you're crying from Home Alone? Yeah, that old guy really got to me. So of course it all has to tie to Seinfeld for me.
I'm telling you, Home Alone, I cry. I always get teary. It's a Wonderful Life, forget it. I'm a big weepy mess at the end of that. Love Actually, I always cry. I'll probably say Gremlins. I probably don't cry during Gremlins. But there's something about this time of year that is just, it's the one time of year where people aren't as assholey as they are throughout the other months of the year. Is assholey a word? I don't know.
Yes, if you make it one, it is. That's it.
That's the new song, Assholey Night. But there's something about like that time of year, and when there's movies surrounding that time of year, it just always, I don't know, it just makes me feel, I'm not a very sentimental person in life, but when it comes to art and film, I'm not a fan of like the Hallmark Lifetime movies. Like, I don't watch My Mother Was a Hallmark Christmas Movie. Like, those are not on my lists. We even recently watched Lindsay Lohan's.
Oh my God. It's just funny that you say that because, okay, so I remember your mom. I know that Chrissy watched them, and now my mom is watching like Hallmark and Lifetime, and I'll bust her butt about it because I find them all to be schmaltzy, and she's like, well, they all just have a happy ending, and that doesn't happen in life. And I'm like, I know, Mom, that's what they're meant to. I get it. I understand why you're watching them. I just don't want to watch them. They don't do anything for me. It's that formula. She's a big city journalist coming home to Pine Hills for the weekend. She's going to meet Jake, the local carpenter who gave up his business over in Chicago. Will they fall in love? Yeah. So I bust her butt, but that whole Lindsay Lohan thing, when I see it, I'm like, it literally looks like a Hallmark or Lifetime movie, which I get. It's perfectly fine if people want to enjoy it. I just watched the trailer the other day. I didn't watch the movie.
Our friend who shall not be named, John Ferrero in Florida, who hates It's a Wonderful Life, loves Hallmark movies. Like, in fact, when he was here, he traveled from Florida to Pennsylvania to spend Thanksgiving with and stopped. I came done from work. I walk out and the Hallmark channel's on. I'm like, what? So he loves them. after watching that Lindsay Lohan movie on Netflix, I said, "Oh my goodness, the Lindsay Lohan Moon movie is awful. You're gonna love it."
You're gonna love it. Yeah, those are just not, and you know what? I see the point of them though. Like your mom watching them, my mom watching them. I get it. I totally get it. You're being guaranteed in an hour, 2 hours, whatever it is, they've basically gift wrapped happiness for you. It's just maybe the cynic in me, the sarcastic, the sardonic, whatever. I don't appreciate them. And I can only get so far in them before I'm like, oh, Jesus. Like, I just can't. But, but that's me, but that's fine. That's people enjoy them. And I tell you what, there's nothing wrong with formula because they know they're churning out the same thing and they know people like it. So why not do it?
That's the funny thing. I bought my mom a shirt when she was sick. I bought her a shirt that said, I'm something about, this is the shirt I wear when I watch Hallmark movies or whatever. But like watching them with my dad in the room, well, Jesus Christ, Chris, you know what's going to happen? It's the same plot from the one you watched before. So like that, like I almost want to sometimes because it reminds me of their like bickering back and forth. But like you, it's just not my taste. But people love them. So they work. So they're making money. So good for them.
God bless them.
Yeah. So. But
God bless America.
Not on my Christmas list favorites.
Yeah, no. And I don't think I have a favorite though. To your point earlier about as a kid, I used to love those also. The Santa Claus, the snowman, Santa Claus is coming to town, Frosty, all those. I mean, those were really special back in the day because it was like put on your jammies, get in front of the TV, and that was like it was a special thing.
And were they really movies? They were like a half hour.
Well, maybe? No, you're right. They were more like specials, I guess. Yeah.
Kid though, they were like, to me, they were a movie, but yeah. Now they're like what, 40 minutes?
Yeah. So I don't know that I have a favorite Christmas movie. I really don't. I don't think I do. And my family wasn't really big around Christmas, but I mean, It's a Wonderful Life would probably be the one that I think of because like we did watch it, before mass, maybe after mass, whatever, because it was on a lot. So that's probably the one that definitely stands out for me.
Yeah. I adore that movie. I can watch it non-Christmas time or not. It's like I said, my second favorite movie of all time, second to The Wizard of Oz, but holiday movies by far. I'll watch it once, twice, 3 times a lady. I will. And I never get sick of it, and I never not cry at the end. So.
And I agree with you on was it The Holiday? Is that what it's called? I enjoy that movie. That's enough for me. Like it's part, I think, almost too schmaltzy for me, but not. I mean, sometimes I think, but I enjoyed that one. I enjoyed the performances. I enjoy the story. It's fun. And Love Actually, of course. I think I actually own that DVD. I think I purchased it at some point because that's another great one. That's one that gets me all like a little bit teary eyed with that. Yeah.
With The Holiday, I have a very big crush on Kate Winslet. I think she's a great actress. I think she's beautiful, and I love her in that movie. I also Jude Law when he does Mr. Napkin Face or whatever, he puts the napkin
with his glasses over the yeah.
But again, it's really not a holiday Christmas movie, but because it happens around Christmas, it always made me feel good, and it's how it makes me feel. You're right; it almost crosses that schmaltzy line. But because they incorporate that whole cinema, like the old man that she meets and how he's like getting a special recognition because he was a director, he was a writer because he did the Meet Cute.
Mm-hmm. The Meet Cutes, yep.
That whole like Hollywood type of, there's so much working for it that I forgive the schmaltziness of it a little bit because I love everything else about it. So
yeah. And Love Actually, I don't really see that one as schmaltzy, and there's so many different stories kind of going. I mean, I know they kind of all kind of intertwine, but it's just a fun, I don't know. It's a good movie. And of course, great actors in it. So yeah.
Emma Thompson alone.
Colin Firth. Hello.
Just so many good storylines and acting and stories.
Andy Lincoln. Yay.
So that's holiday in a popcorn bucket.
That's holiday in a Santa stocking stuffer.
There's so many holiday movies out there now. I was just reading an article on CNN this week or last where they're like, why do people come around like holiday movies? Like, what's it about the holiday movies? So, and it was interesting. And then they were asking like the are they the celebrities? I don't know what they're called, the anchors or whatever, on CNN, like what their favorite movies were. And the one guy did say Die Hard, and there was that whole like debate whether really is it's an action movie, but because it happens at Christmas time. So, but I like the holiday, and is it a holiday movie? It happens around Christmas, so I consider it. So to each their own.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and I see that again on social media, that big fight about Die Hard, but like I'm like I don't have an opinion on it. So I just remember the famous line. At least I think it was in that movie Yippee-ki-yay, mother effer.
yep. Yep.
And I don't know why I'm censoring myself, because I don't normally care about cursing, but I'm gonna censor for the holidays. That is
Mary,
my gift to you. Less potty mouth.
less vulgarity.
Less vulgarity. Yes. That is actually not on my list for 2023, less vulgarity, but we'll get into that. Perhaps in another episode, what we're planning for the new year's goals. Because as I said to you earlier before we were recording, sister's going to try to put herself first and be smarter in 2023 as far as work goes. No, I don't like that word work. Let me rephrase. As far as my entrepreneurship goes and my professional career, starting to be smarter about promoting myself and acknowledging what I've done to this point, and really recognizing the value in what I've been able to accomplish and can offer people. Yeah, so there you go.
Good for you, as you should.
Well, thank you, sir. So as we wrap up here, because and I'm tired, but also bitch is tired. Any closing words? I think one thing that, before I throw it back to you, that we could say is it doesn't really matter what kind of movies you enjoy, kind of like when I close my laughter yoga sessions, I talk about, get more laughter in your life, as long as you're not, greasing up stairs so that people can fall down them and you can laugh at them. I mean, that would be a negative. As long as you're not hurting anyone, find laughs where and appreciate whatever you appreciate. Watch the shows you want to watch the movies you want to watch, enjoy them. Life is short, enjoy them. And especially around the holidays, it's a time that we do tend to, most of us get a little more time off, which I think is why we kind of have that time to gather with the popcorn and sit on the couch and get under a blanket and just be cozy. And there's such love and great memories that can be formed from that. So enjoy that. Oliver?
Yeah, I would just say it like, it doesn't matter if Santa Claus is involved in the plot or not. A lot of people it's all about the experience. Make the memories with your family and your friends. And like a lot of people watch all those big blockbusters. Star Wars is popular around the holidays. They come together and watch, we have to watch Star Wars together because we've watched it as kids, so we're going to watch it again. So it doesn't matter the movie. It doesn't have to be Christmas related. Just make it the experience. Make it, something that you all enjoy, you can laugh about and have fun. And in 10 years, remember that time we watched that movie at Christmas time. And that's all it's really about. So.
Absolutely. Like I will never forget that I started watching BBC Ghosts with you in North Carolina. And now I'm obsessed with those guys. And I can't wait to see season 4. I miss them and I love them. So yes, but the memories of sitting on the couch with you and a couple moments when you're like, oh, see what I'm talking about? With your hubby commenting on some TV shows. But it's just fun. And and I'll remember that I sat there and after one episode was like, it's okay, but I still like the American version better. And then by what season or episode 2 or 3, I'm like, I love them. But I'll never forget that was on your couch in your home. And that was with you and Jim.
So. And watching a movie with a Christmas tree lit in the background, there's something, no matter what you're watching, you've got your family, you've got your friends around, you got the Christmas lights on, you can't help feel, even if you're watching The Conjuring 4, it's, you know what I mean? It's still a memory that you're creating, that you're having a good time, and you can look back on and say, like I remember where I was when I saw that movie, and it was with so-and-so, and it was Christmas time, and we had a great time. Like, that's really all it's about.
Yeah. And you brought up a good point there, and I'll close on this. I love one of my absolute favorite things. This is not to do with movies, but you mentioned with the tree lit. I find the most peace in lights like that, turning off the rest of the lights in the house and being on my couch with the Christmas tree lit. And just, that's why I like to keep it up, honestly, as long as possible, because it it puts such a light, soft glow in the room and puts me at such a sense of peace and ease that I absolutely do love it. So it is, even, TV or not on, just sitting there looking at the tree makes me really feel comfortable, peaceful, and just, at a good place. So I wish that for all of you. And you have been listening to Funny Wine Girl. As I always say, I really do appreciate you tuning in. This, you have probably will never know what it really truly means to me. When you do listen, it means the world to me, really. And I hope you'll come back for the rest of December Discourse. And in 2023, I've got some really wonderful guests lined up, as always, that I'm so proud to hear from and have you hear from, that I hope you will tune in. As I always say, I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart and the bottom of my wine glass.